everyone. My name is Anna Aviles, and today with Panthers Active Wellness Services, we have Emma Johns from Work Solutions, who will be presenting on work-life balance in 2020 and boosting your resilience. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Emma.
Thank you, Anna, for the excellent introduction. Like Anna said, my name is Emma Johns, and I am the health educator for WellWork Solutions. We're a corporate health and wellness consultancy based out of South Florida. And I would just like to thank Anna again and Nathan as well for bringing this opportunity to life. And when discussing with Nathan what topic I could provide for you for all today, it was work-life balance and how to boost your resilience. And not only to do your best, but to feel your best as well, because that's what's truly important. So today we're going to be diving into the concept of work-life balance, its various aspects, stress management, and how to enhance your personal resilience to boost your stress management skills. So before we begin, I am really excited. I would like to introduce myself a little bit more and explain my background and expertise.
No sound.
No sound?
They can hear.
All right, great. So let me start over again. So my name is Emma Johns, and I am the health educator from WellWork Solutions. We're a corporate health and wellness consultancy firm based out of South Florida. And so what we do is we specialize in catering to employers, corporations, and their employees. We provide in-person or online health and wellness lectures, workshops, and challenges. And we also organize various health and wellness related events such as health fairs. And so a little bit more about me. I'm originally from Georgia, so I'm really loving the Florida weather, but I moved to Gainesville in 2015, where I attended the University of Florida. Any Gators in the crowd? We have one, great, go Gators. So at the University of Florida, I studied health education and behavior with a specialization in community health promotion. And during this time is also when I really got into organizing different health and wellness events, and I also partnered closely with the administrative staff at the university to develop a new employee wellness program for them. And during that time, I was also working full-time in the service industry, and the demands of working full-time while going to school full-time took a toll on my quality of life, really. I was very stressed, I was very unhappy, and I was exhausted. And it took a big strain on my relationships with not only my friends, but my family members as well. And in order to combat this, I had to take on a new mindset and change my lifestyle a little bit just to feel more performant and balanced. And so that's what I would like to share with you all today. I really want to empower you to thrive in order to increase your work-life balance and also enhance your personal resilience. And I'm going to be giving you the knowledge, the confidence, and the tools necessary to do this. So let's talk about the concept of work-life balance itself. And when we hear the word work-life balance, we typically think an equal balance between work and life, right? But that's very misleading. And it's best to view work-life balance as rather an integration or not an equilibrium, just a very good integration of all your various domains of your life, your personal life, your work life, your family, your friends, your hobbies, your health. You know, as we juggle these different domains of our lives, we feel very busy and we may be struggling to feel not only successful, but fulfilled as well. And so looking at work-life balance as an integration is very key because realistically, we won't be able to devote all of the same amount of time and energy into every role and activity we partake in each day. And furthermore, because of that, your work-life balance is really going to vary over time. And not just over the years, but also on a day-to-day basis, because we're performing different things every day, and we have to conform to different roles every day, right? And then lastly, I have to be honest, there's no perfect one-size-fits-all approach to work-life balance that you should be seeking out, because we are all different individuals, and we all lead very different lives. And when you approach your work-life balance, you have to approach it in a balanced way. And many people think enhancing your work-life balance means making a lot of really big life changes, but it doesn't. It's really about making small investments in the right places. And when you make these small investments, you experience many benefits. And in your personal life, this includes increased happiness, increased health, decreased stress, you have more energy, and you just feel like you're accomplishing and doing more of what you want. And in your work life, you have increased job satisfaction, increased employee morale. You're more likely to come into work and really be present and give your all. You're more productive and you're accomplishing more. So how do we maximize these benefits? But first, let me ask you a question in the audience. Raise your hand, or if you're on Zoom, comment yes or no if you feel you've obtained a good work-life balance so far. So I'm seeing, what was that?
Negative.
Negative. All right. So as we can,
Not really.
Not really. Yes.
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
Working on it.
Somewhat.
Working on it.
Yes, and working on it is what matters the most. You're doing the responsible thing by taking that effort. And as we can see, most of the audience and the crowd said no, they're struggling with this.
Not at all.
Yes, so you're not alone in this journey. And now I really want to dive into some tools you can use to enhance your work-life balance. So here you can see some of the domains of life. And when you approach these, I want you to take into two concepts, and that's achievement and enjoyment, because these are really the basis of having a great work-life balance. And most of us know what achievement is, right? We're setting goals, we're accomplishing tasks, we're making these moves, we're completing things. But what about enjoyment? And enjoyment entails a sense of fulfillment, accomplishment, satisfaction, gratitude. You feel appreciated or even loved. And while most of us are achieving throughout the day, are we enjoying? And it's important to note that enjoyment doesn't always automatically follow achievement. And so you have to think, go back and reflect and say, is this something that's just another box to check off my to-do list? Or am I enjoying as well? And enjoyment and achievement provide meaning and fulfillment to what we do every day. Also, work-life balance requires a tremendous amount of awareness. And so a lot of these tools I'll be giving you right now, they're very general guidances on how you can increase your awareness of how your life is balanced. And I think it's important that you note not only your strengths, but your weaknesses and your patterns as well, because that's crucial to obtaining this work-life balance and one that's going to really work for you. So first, playing to your strengths. And what I mean by this is it's best to invest ourselves in activities and roles that build off of our greatest strengths and who we already are. Because when we're dedicating our time and energy into things that aren't building off of who we are as individuals and what our greatest strengths may be, you may not be experiencing the success you desire. In addition to that, you may be wasting your time because you're accomplishing very little. And next, be aware of your own patterns. And what I mean by this is knowing your patterns of productivity. So how many people in the crowd are a morning person? Yes, no, here and there. Okay, so if you're a morning person, you might feel a little more energized in the morning, and that's when you're really focused and you're able to accomplish more. So being aware of your patterns of productivity is to apply yourselves during these time frames when you feel you can get a lot done, and dedicating your larger task to these times because you're more focused and you're more energized. So if you're able to organize your task in a manner where you're utilizing your productivity patterns, it's really best. Next, set SMART goals. And I will forever thank my professors for this term. And SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And when we set SMART goals, we specify what we want to achieve. We're doing it in a productive and efficient manner, and we're accomplishing it in an established time frame. So doing this, you're achieving more effectively. Next, know your limitations. And in terms of work-life balance, this can involve knowing when to respectfully remove yourself from a situation that requires too much from you or is draining. And also perhaps knowing when to say a task is outside or above your capabilities. Next, we have reducing your screen time. And we all know that social media and television are big time wasters. But in addition to that, they can contribute to feelings of stress. They can decrease our satisfaction with our life. And then they also can inhibit our sleep through blue light exposure. So it's important to reduce your screen time and use technology in moderation. And lastly, self-care. So it's so crucial to take care of yourself. You can't be your best self and you can't accomplish as much as you desire if you're not catering to your mind and your body and what it needs. And self-care comes in many forms, and it's different for everyone. Self-care can include physical activity, it can include beautification, learning something new, or even just taking 20 minutes outside of your day to do something for yourself. So now, I would like to talk about the relationship between work-life balance and stress, because it is crucial when it comes to your work-life balance that you're able to effectively manage your stress and combat it. And as you can see, there is a very cyclical relationship between work-life balance and stress. So when we're more stressed, we have less energy, we're a little less focused, and we're not as productive as we like to be. And this can lead to an imbalance in our life due to us trying to overcompensate in certain fields for falling short of our shortcomings, right? We're not achieving as much as we would like. And that increases our stress levels. And so think of it as an avalanche. It starts with a small snowflake, a little snowball, and then it rolls down the mountain and it can get out of control. This relationship is called a positive feedback loop, but I don't want you to be fooled by the word positive because it's a very vicious cycle. So on a scale from 1 to 10, I would just like to get an indication of the crowd, your current stress level right now. So on a scale of 1 to 10, raise your hand or comment if you feel you're at an average of a 6 on a daily basis. Anyone on Zoom? All right, that's actually great. Depending on where I provide this lecture, you will see a lot of hands for higher up in the scale, but I'm really glad you guys are below five-ish, a little more moderate level. Good, that's great. It's good to finally see that in the audience. Awesome. About 5, so 4s and 5s in the room? Okay, a 6. 2 6s, okay. A 7. Any more comments?
4 to 6,
4 to 6.
depending on your job.
Yes. And it can also depend on your day. All right. So let's discuss a little bit more of the prevalence of stress in the workplace. And the American Institute of Stress recently conducted a study where 94% of the respondents said they experienced stress at work. And some of you may say, wow, I thought it would be higher, and you're not impressed by this number. While on the other hand, some of you may feel this is too high. And one of the key takeaways from this study was that actually 23% of the respondents reported that their stress levels were incredibly high on a daily basis. And so some common sources of stress in the workplace that can include time, interpersonal confrontations, traffic, excessive workload, high expectations, and I'm sure some of you may experience these on a daily basis, at least one, if not multiple. And so now I'd like to take a step and rewind. And how many of you think stress is bad for your health? 1. Yeses, nos, maybes, in between.
Not always.
Yeah, not always. And you guys are right. It really does depend on the level and how long we're exposed to that stress. And so one thing I really want you to leave with today is that how you think and how you act can entirely transform your experience of stress. So as I mentioned, stress does not always have to be bad for us. So you have eustress versus distress. Now let's talk about eustress. Has anybody in the crowd heard of this term before? No?
Yes.
Yes. You guys are in academia, so you may have a little bit more awareness around this.
Yes, is on Zoom.
Awesome. So yes, eustress is that good stress. It's the stress that motivates us. It pushes us to accomplish and grow more, right? But then you have the distress, and distress is what people typically think of when they hear the word stress. It's that bad stress. And I just discussed some common causes of distress in the workplace, but it's important to note that when you're under the influence of distress, your body and your mind can really take the toll of that. And so now I'd really like to discuss the types of stress, or the sources of stressors, And when you know your source of stress, you will be able to better identify how you can combat that. So the first source I'm going to talk about is time. And time stress is probably one of the most prevalent sources of stress we see in our modern society. And that is because the demand for instant gratification, not only in person, but also due to the increase of technological use. And time stress can also stem from not having enough time to do something and feeling, really pressured by that deadline, or perhaps even waiting too long to hear back or to find out something really important. Next, you have anticipatory stress. And anticipatory stress really describes the stress you feel when you're worried around a general situation or an event. And how many of you have ever woken up and you just don't want to get out of bed because you think, oh, this is going to be such a bad day. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to get out of bed. Right? Yeah, we've all been there. And that's an example of anticipatory stress. You don't know why you're stressed, but you just have that feeling of dread surrounding something. And it can kind of best be visualized by that little cartoon where the black cloud is hovering over your head. So then you have situational stress. And situational stress occurs when we're put into a situation that is unexpected or where we can't control the outcome. And this is something that is incredibly stressful, right? And then lastly, we have encounter stress. And encounter stress involves our interactions with others. So that meeting with your colleague or your higher up, or even just a person where you feel the conversation may be unpleasant. And if you work in a field, and if you guys are in academia, I'm assuming you guys do a lot of interactions with other individuals on a daily basis. A lot of your stress can stem from encounter stress. So as I mentioned, it's important to identify your source of stress so you can best choose ways to combat it. And now let's talk about stress and its impact on the body. And as I mentioned before, stress doesn't always have to be a bad thing. So I really want you to adopt a more neutral perspective on stress right now. Biologically speaking, stress was a great thing. It kept us alive all of this time. And when you were in Florida 1,000 years ago and you come across an alligator, that stress response is going to trigger your fight or flight response. So you have the release of adrenaline and cortisol. So that means you can either fight the alligator or you can run from it. And I really hope you run from it for your sake. But yes, so fighting or flighting. And so the adrenaline, it comes into play. It's going to increase our heart rate. It's going to increase our blood pressure. And it's going to give us that energy we need to run or fight. And then you have cortisol. And cortisol is the more silent one because we've all experienced an adrenaline rush. But you typically don't notice the effects of cortisol when you're stressed, at least until they catch up with you. So cortisol, it can inhibit your growth and repair mechanisms. And what I mean by that is it can come into play and kind of shut down all of these processes our body doesn't deem necessary in a stressful situation. So it's going to take the energy you're diverting toward these systems and put it towards other things. So it shuts down your growth and repair mechanisms. And your growth and repair mechanisms are really, really important when it comes to your immune functioning and your anti-aging. And so that's why when you're under the you're under the influence of stress for a prolonged amount of time, you may catch a cold more quickly or you just feel really tired and weak. And also that's why individuals who lead stressful lifestyles or have very stressful careers age more quickly than they should. Think about the president when he comes out of office and he all of a sudden has so many wrinkles and gray hair, and that's because he has a very stressful job. And next, digestion and nutrient absorption. So cortisol works to kind of inhibit this because even if we're eating healthy and we're experiencing a lot of stress, we may not actually be absorbing nutrients as properly as we could be. And a lot of our clients actually come to us with food insensitivities, like gluten, for example. And they find that when they're able to reduce their stress levels, they're more tolerant of these foods and they can introduce them back into their diet. And that's because our allergy response sits in our gut. And it also, our gut controls our mood regulation. So that's where the term hangry comes from. You're hungry and you're angry. And then lastly, we have reproduction. And a lot of our female clients come to us, they're at the age where they feel they're ready to have kids and they're concerned about their fertility. And the first piece of advice their doctors give to them is to reduce your stress levels. Because biologically speaking, we don't want babies to be born into a world of danger, right? And so this is how the stress response has aided us over time. But now in our modern society, we are always on high alert. And when you're under the prolonged influence of distress, it can significantly impact your health. And I want you guys to know that it's okay to be stressed, but it's important to not let it manifest to the point where it starts to really bring down your health. So moving forward, I want to talk about one of your biggest tools to combat stress and its effects, and that is personal resilience. And the term personal resilience actually comes from the world of physics, and it describes objects to overcome shock or stressors. And when we take that on into a psychological perspective, it means bouncing back from that negative event and really not just returning to your status quo or your normal and saying, okay, well, that happened. That's it. No, you have to use that momentum to grow and to move forward and look at it as an opportunity to do better the next time, or perhaps a newfound insight. So let's move forward. I really want you guys to imagine how you would feel if you overcame these things that were leaving you tired and weak. How much more confident, energetic, and productive you would feel. Because what we all want at the end of the day is to give our all every day, right? And at work, we want to inspire, we want to lead, we want to contribute. And at home, we want to have the energy to come home and play with our kids or our pets or cook a healthy meal if we want to. And we also want to have the willpower to make the choices that are right for us and our well-being. But it's also important to socialize, and you want to network, and you want to see your friends instead of crashing on your sofa at the end of the day and binge watching that new series on Netflix, right? So let's address the million-dollar question. How do we do that? So now I'm going to dive into some strategies you can use to boost your personal resilience. And I would like to acknowledge that the journey to resilience is very personal. And in order to cater to this, it has to be a holistic perspective. And so today, we'll be covering physical, mental, emotional, and social health. I will not be addressing career and financial health because I feel confident that your employer sees to these needs, and that one's less directly in your control. So I'd like to talk about the 4 pillars of health that are directly under your influence. And let's begin with the physical, because typically when we think about stress and our health, we only focus on the physical, right? And yes, it's true, it's incredibly important, but it's only the basis of the foundation. So when it comes to our physical strategies, I'm sure you've all heard exercise is great. It's amazing for relieving stress and getting those good endorphins in and relaxing your mind and body. But I'm going to be realistic, and I acknowledge you guys may not have the time to do this. If you do, I highly encourage you to go to a gym or a fitness class, whatever you find works best for you. But if you're short on time, there's other ways you can incorporate physical activity into your day. And the first one is walking more. We're at FIU right now, and you guys have a very expansive campus and a lot of different parking areas. So one way to really incorporate walking more into your day can be walking around campus, of course, but also even try maybe parking further away from your destination. As long as you're giving yourself time to adjust for that distance, you're going to get in a lot of extra steps, get your blood flowing, and by the time you get to your desk, it's Florida, so you'll be a little sweaty, to be honest, but you'll have that good rush of energy and endorphins. And then also, taking the stairs. I see a lot of the buildings here are multi-level, so I highly encourage you to take the stairs if you are able to. And also when it comes to physical ways to combat the effects of stress, we have to look at muscle relaxation. So the first way I like to address this is desk stretching. And you can do this at your desk every day, all day if you'd like. And I'm going to show you guys an example of your desk stretch that you can follow along with right now. So I'm going to be sitting in this chair. How's the view? Okay, great. I'm a little blinded by the projector, but I'm going to proceed anyways. So is everyone sitting down? Great. So this is a desk stretch I like to do in the middle of my day just to wake up and feel more energized and kind of relieve the tension. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring your arms up like this, like you're catching a basketball. And then you're going to draw your shoulders back and your elbows up. And you feel that stretch really in your arms and your shoulders, right? And so you're going to hold that for a few seconds, and then you're going to come in together. Put your hands together like this and keep your arms nice and parallel. And then I want you to apply pressure to your hands. And this is going to be great for you people that find that your work style is very sedentary and you're at a desk typing a lot. Just getting that pressure out of your wrist. And then you can invert your hands like so. And then you kind of do that back and forth, just getting that pressure out of your wrist. And next thing you can do for your wrist is to take your hands down by your side. These chairs are a little small, but you can put them even on your knees. So take your hands and put your hands down and then lean forward and just kind of put the pressure on your wrist, and you'll feel that tension coming up. Or even, it's a little better if you're able to straighten your elbows. And then you can take it and invert your wrist like that and lean forward. And you should be able to feel that tension coming out. Anyone feel this? You people on Zoom, are you following along? No? Yes, great, excellent. So yes, that's just one of the death stretches I like to do throughout my day to relieve a little bit of muscle tension. There's a lot of different chair yogas and death stretches you can partake in, and I really encourage you to Google some because I found that they've been an incredibly helpful tool for myself. So next, you can also relax your muscles through a warm shower or massage. And it's important to fuel your body properly to combat stress as well. And so not just for your stress levels, but your work-life balance. You want to have sustained energy throughout your day so you can achieve more, you'll stay energized, and you'll be focused. So the foods you should really be consuming need to be high in whole grains and protein. And some excellent sources of whole grains: oatmeal, whole grain bread, whole grain pasta. And then you have your proteins, your lean meats, your chicken breast, your ground turkey, your turkey slices, your unfried fish. And if you don't eat meat, lentils, peanuts, beans, all great sources of protein. So is tofu. Next piece of advice is to reduce the crap. And what do I mean by crap? So we use this acronym to describe foods that are energy drainers. And that's going to be your caffeinated beverages, your refined sugars, alcohols, and processed foods. Overconsumption of caffeine, especially later in the day, can inhibit your ability to sleep, and you're going to be really tired and groggy the next day. Also, when you're consuming caffeine, it can actually increase those physical manifestations of stress or anxiety, so it's important to keep that in mind. And then next, you have refined sugars. When you consume a lot of refined sugars, it can really cause sugar crash. Yes, so your blood sugar level, it really spikes and then it dramatically falls, and that's why we get really sleepy after we eat a meal that's high in sugars. And next you have your alcohols. A glass of wine can make you drowsy. Even small amounts of alcohol can really make you tired, but they also dehydrate you. And excessive alcohol consumption can inhibit your sleep, mainly by inhibiting your ability to breathe at night. And also you'll be waking up a lot and you won't be able to sleep as deeply. So next, stay prepared with healthy options. And so this can involve meal prepping. If you guys are familiar with that, preparing your meals ahead of time on a day when you have some more free time, perhaps a Sunday. I find that works best for a lot of our clients. And also just bringing some healthy snacks with you to have throughout the day. And not only are you going to have that better sustained energy, but you're also going to reduce your temptations to eat the crap foods when you're prepared. And next, let's talk about hydration. So most of us know that we should be drinking at least 8 glasses of water a day, but how many of us actually do that, right? So, especially in Florida, where the climate is a lot warmer, you may be sweating more, or if you're engaging in a lot of physical activity, you actually should be drinking more than 8 glasses a day just to supplement that water loss. And a great thing I like to use to remind myself to drink enough water is something like this, a refillable water bottle. And most of these hold 2 to 3 glasses of water. You can keep it at your desk and refill it throughout the day. And if you're drinking a glass of water every 2 hours, if you have a typical 8-hour workday, you already have half of your water intake gone or under your belt. And the next is to reduce your caffeine intake again. This can inhibit our ability to sleep at night. And then lastly, if you find that you're someone who really likes carbonated beverages or caffeine, you can substitute the coffee, try going for a decaf, perhaps water it down or just decrease your intake, or even go for a nice natural tea with less added sugars. And then also you have sparkling juices and sparkling waters. Those are all great substitutes. Sleep. How many of you guys feel that you're getting enough sleep at night? One. I see one hand. Anyone on Zoom?
No.
No.
I do. That's really not me. Not me. 7 hours.
Okay. Yes. Sleep is so crucial to many, many things. And we have a poor work-life balance. We may find that we're not able to get enough sleep. And that makes us more stressed. And a lack of sleep just it really can dramatically, exponentially, I just forgot the word, but it makes those effects of being tired and stressed a lot worse. And so, yes, exactly. And so you need to be getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night. And some ways to do that, I find a lot of our clients find it's not the staying asleep, it's the falling asleep. And so really disconnecting at night, put the laptops away, turn off the TV, put your phones down. If you have an iPhone, I really recommend putting it into bedtime mode, and it will tell you when you should be going to bed, and it will also lower the blue light exposure on your screen. So perhaps try partaking in some creative outlets or reading, journaling, meditating if you find that works for you. Just something more relaxing. I know a lot of us think that TV may relax us at night, but that screen and the blue light from the screen are kind of tricking your brains into staying awake. And lastly, as I mentioned before, not consuming caffeine past 3 to 4 p.m., or at least 6 to 7 hours before you anticipate going to bed. Now let's discuss mental strategies, because mental strategies are the mastery of boosting your resilience. And so the first is to develop positive self-talk. A lot of us subconsciously, without realizing it, can kind of talk down on ourselves for the situation at hand, So you have to be aware of how you're speaking to yourself in your own head. And then next, reframing the situation. So the next time something negative or unfavorable occurs, taking a step back and developing a more neutral perspective and saying, this happened, but this is also something I learned from it, or here's a new insight, or this is something I will do different in the future. And realizing that everything doesn't have to be just negative, because when we focus on the negative, we're not seeing the big picture, right? And next, implement an internal locus of self-control. So people who have an internal locus of control, they know that they're in control of their life and its outcomes. And people with an internal locus of control, there have been many statistically significant surveys that show these individuals actually are more resilient, and they have a higher sense of happiness and satisfaction with their life. And people with an external sense of self-control or locus of control, they kind of blame unfavorable situations and events on others, and they don't take accountability. And so it's really important to be accountable for what's going on in your life and gaining control.
What is locus of control?
Locus of control. It's kind of just, think of it as your center of control. And that's really great. Rewinding back to psychology class right now. So locus of control, it really has a lot to do with how you perceive your life's events occurring. Are you in control, or are others in control? So say it's a rainy day, right? Are you going to grab an umbrella and a rain jacket and stay dry, or are you just going to run out to your car and blame the weather for you getting wet, right? It's about how we approach the situation and knowing that most of the time we are able to control the circumstances and the outcomes. So next, adopting an optimistic outlook. And what I really mean by this is it's important to know that in the face of a negative event or situation, sometimes laughter can be the best form of medicine. And if you find it's appropriate, just kind of laugh it off, or, take a step back and realize that these negative events aren't anything personal, and that you can move forward with a happy state of mind. And next, meditation. So meditation is a great mental tool that you can use to manage your stress and combat stress. And meditation has actually been shown in a recent study to combat the effects of sleep loss in a 1-to-2 ratio. And what I mean by this is 30 minutes of meditation has been shown to replace the effects of an hour of sleep. I'm not advocating for sleep loss, but if you find that you're in the middle of the day and you're hitting that slump, a quick meditation can actually perk you right back up. And so now I would like to partake in a meditation with you all. My voice is not the most soothing, so it will be a pre-recorded one. And it's going to be a guided body scan. And body scans really help you increase your awareness of the physical manifestation, so the tension you get in your shoulders, and it just guides you through a relaxation process. So this is going to be a quick 3-minute meditation you can follow. It will go a lot more quickly than you realize, and I encourage you all to now close your eyes and participate in this meditation.
Welcome to this 3-minute guided body scan. Start by finding a comfortable position with a straight back and close your eyes. Rest your hands gently and allow your shoulders to relax. And take a few deep breaths to ground you in this moment. Feeling your breath as it enters your body and as it leaves your body. Follow the calming breath, the soothing breath, the breath that connects the mind and body. And now bring your attention to your head, feeling into your scalp, forehead, and face. Allow all the muscles in your head and face to soften. And lower your focus to the neck and shoulders, noticing any sensation here. Bringing awareness to your arms, all the way through to the wrists, palms, and fingers. Observing any sensation that arises on the surface of the skin or deeper within. Now scan your back, and if you notice any intensity, direct the breath into that area to allow for a softening. Feel into the belly, observing its rise and fall, rise and fall. And scan your pelvis and hips, moving your attention all the way into the legs and feet. Letting them relax and become soft. And now settle into the stillness that comes from paying attention to your body, part by part. And when you're ready, wiggle your fingers and toes. Come back to the room and open your eyes. Enjoy this relaxed, peaceful state and take it with you into your day.
All right, thank you guys all for participating in that. I hope you felt the effects of the body scan, perhaps lift a little muscle tension. I encourage you to pursue meditation if you find it doesn't work for you, but if not, let's talk about some other mental and mindful strategies. Also going into the emotional. So meditation is also an emotionally focused coping mechanism for stress. And a lot of these tips I'm giving you will overlap in their categories because it is a holistic approach. So now, when it comes to emotionally coping with your stress and boosting your resilience, it's important to pinpoint and focus and assess and analyze what situations, events, or people are really bringing out these negative responses in you, right? It's important to know our causes and sources of stress. And when we do so, we're better able to identify strategies that can address this. And also, it's important to find an outlet like journaling. Journaling is very popular and highly recommended by therapists, not because it's an emotional outlet, but you can also use it to brainstorm solutions to your problems. And some other outlets can include art or music or dancing, whatever you find makes you happy. And the next topic I'd like to discuss. How many of you in the crowd have heard of the word oxytocin? Okay, oxytocin is a hormone secreted by the brain. And in popular media, it's labeled as the love hormone or the cuddle hormone. This is probably how you might have heard of it, or the happiness hormone sometimes. And oxytocin is actually secreted in our stress response to combat the negative effects on our heart, and it works to generate new heart cells in response to prolonged stress. Isn't that amazing? And so when you look at the fact that oxytocin is secreted by our bodies in response to stress, and it's also secreted when we're in instances of close connection with other human beings, what is the picture that's being painted here? And it's that our bodies, our internal mechanism of personal resilience is human connection. And it's really important to have human connection not only through relating your problems to others, but also being there for other people. Both ends of the spectrum are very, very important. And so you really have this resilience that's created from caring. And lastly, empathy. I would really like to discuss empathy today because empathy, it really strengthens and fosters personal connections. And it's important to empathize with others and what they're going through and have someone who is capable of empathizing with you and your experiences. When we relate to these individuals, it can dramatically decrease our feelings of stress. So yes, understanding and regulating your emotions, because sometimes when our emotions get in the way in a stressful situation, our thoughts and our judgments can be clouded. So we may act irrationally, right? So really understand your emotions, increase your emotional awareness, and identify those sources of stress, but also rely on your connection with others to increase your resilience. And that brings me into my next point, your social health. So how many of you are actually familiar with your colleagues, and not just on a name-to-name basis, but you know about their lives outside of work? Here and there, somewhat, okay. It's an important, just a little, yeah. And so it's important to really foster these connections with your colleagues and create that sense of camaraderie, right? Because you have people who can really help you. They're in a similar situation as you. They're familiar with the issues you may be facing at work, and they're there to support you and help you. And what I mean, it's really important to seek out those individuals you can trust. Unfortunately, every person we come across may not have our best interest in mind, so really know who you can rely on. Also, staying in touch with those important people in our lives who aren't in our immediate reach, that we're able to see every day, whether it's because they live far away or you just moved to a new city or you just don't have the access to them that you used to. And what I mean by staying in touch, it's great to use technology, but I want you to keep in mind that FaceTiming, video chatting, or calling over the phone, it's a little bit more beneficial and you get a greater connection than sending a text message. I think text messages are amazing if you're in a situation where you can't speak out loud at the moment, but actually hearing someone's voice and seeing their face has a better impact. Next, not only talking to others about your issues, but listening to theirs as well, because you don't want to be that person who's constantly coming for others, but not providing them any support, because you're going to weigh down your social support system and kind of push them away eventually. So it's important to be there for others. And next, utilizing our time with our loved ones. And a lot of times when we're in a stressful situation, we kind of just want to withdraw and be by ourselves, right? But you have to realize that these are the people that have been put in your life to care for you and help you. And so this can mean after a long day, instead of just shutting everyone out, going out and playing with your kids, or going out to a dinner with your spouse or your family members and just saying, hey, like, I really care about you guys. What's something you did today? What's something you learned today? Showing interest in them and investing in them and just reminding them of how important you are to them, and they will return that tenfold. And lastly, if you feel that your social support network is lacking, there are a lot of resources in your community that you can utilize. You have your fitness clubs or any hobbies that you may be interested in. You can quickly hop online and find groups that have the same interests as you. Volunteering in your community, that can be a great way to connect with other people who have very good intentions and they're caring individuals and they have similar interests as you. Also, your YMCA, if you're a spiritual person, your local church, all of these are great resources. Or even seeking out a support network who's, facing some similar challenges as you. And lastly, I want to really, really emphasize that your support network should only build your personal resilience. It shouldn't take away from it. So really be cautious and aware of those individuals and those situations that put you in a bad space or a bad feeling, and try to avoid those. All right, and yes, as I mentioned before, our built-in mechanism for resilience is human connection. Don't forget that. So congrats, you guys, you made it through the lecture portion of this series. That was the theory, but as we say, knowledge comes from actions and not words. So I really want you to anchor your learnings today and share the answer to this question with one person in the room, or if you're on Zoom, just sharing it in the chat feature. And I want you to discuss what is one new strategy that you will use that you learned today, or even one that you might have known before, to boost your personal resilience and your stress management. All right, you guys have 2 minutes. Yes, I will be sharing these. Did you sign in with the sign-in sheet? It's in the back of the room, so when you leave, you can sign in. And I'll be sharing the slides. Nathan will also be distributing an anonymous Qualtrics survey. Your feedback would be greatly appreciated, just so I can improve the presentation for future uses.
So we have some answers on Zoom.
Yes.
Jeanette says, go back to journaling every night.
Awesome.
Melody, get more sleep.
Yes.
Exercise.
Great.
Definitely meditating more.
Awesome.
Chair stretching and 3-minute meditation.
Yes, these are all grateful tools.
Chair stretching, getting more sleep and meditate. Exercise at desk, more sleep and meditation. Meditating more, meditate.
Great. These seem to be a lot of popular answers, so really quickly I'll touch on the concept of micro breaking. I didn't mention it in my slides, but it's a great tool that you can use to reduce your stress at work. And micro breaking involves taking a really short break from what you're doing at the moment, just to recenter yourself, refocus, and re-energize. And that can involve just getting up, walking around the office, going up and down the stairs, stretching, meditating. All of these, even going up, walking to the bathroom and getting some water, are all great examples of micro breaks. And what about you?
I already talked to my brother.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we can discuss. And then maybe I can have more idea and then can reduce the stress.
Yes, good. Relying on your friends is so important. Anyone else in Zoom have anything to share?
Yeah.
Sleep. More sleep.
Pursuing activities I enjoy, like hiking, archery, yoga, going out dancing.
Yes, and it's really important to play to your passions. I used to try running, and I hated running, and therefore I gave up very quickly and did not make much progress. So really play off of what you're passionate about.
How long is a good micro break?
It can range from 30 seconds to even a few minutes. I would cap it off at 3 or 5 minutes, just depending on what you're doing, so you don't get too distracted.
Change positions.
Yes.
More sleep and mindful walking to my weekly to-do.
Yes. Also, if you find that you don't have a lot of time to make phone calls and connect with your important people who are further away, do it when you go for a walk. If you have a pet, take them for a walk and talk on the phone. And as long as you're in a safe area where there's little traffic, you should be able to hear them, and you're utilizing your time very effectively. All right, that is it. We are out of time. So I would just like to thank you guys so much for attending today. All of you in person and all of you in Zoom, you're all amazing. Thank you. As I said before, Nathan will be distributing an anonymous Qualtrics survey. Our key takeaways: your ideal work-life balance varies on a day-to-day basis. It's really about making those small investments in the right places and achieving and enjoying more. Strengthen your resilience holistically, physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, and career financial. And lastly, experiment with different strategies to find those that work best for you, your personality, and your lifestyle. So thank you guys. Here's my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me in the future with any health or wellness related questions. Again, thank you for your time and attention today, and I want you to remember that work-life balance is about integration, not equilibrium, and that how you think and how you act towards stress can entirely transform your body's response. So thank you.
So this concludes our presentation. Emma, we want to thank you for such a wonderful
Thank
wellness
you.
lecture. I'm sure we all got something from it, and hopefully we implement. Thank you everybody on Zoom, and thank you everybody who came in person. If you have any questions, please send them to callswellness@fius.edu. Thank you guys.